If you're just tuning in, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. We are here today for a powerhouse session that distills the best lessons from season 1 of Candid Conversations on the Founders Edition. This is more than just a recap. Consider this your personal masterclass in entrepreneurship. We'll kick things off with advice on strategy and operations, and then we'll shift gears into mindset. First up, we got Matt Cimon, president of Portofino, breaking down the art of decision making, from game-changing strategic moves to the nitty-gritty choices. As a leader, adaptability is key, and not all decisions can be made with the same framework. So let's dive into Matt's playbook.
There needs to be some rigor behind the decision. I don't want to use my gut feeling just on this is the right way to go and this is what we're going. And so to me, usually that will involve a combination of analysis, speaking with all levels within the organization. So those are the bigger decisions. I think on the smaller decisions, being decisive is more important. You don't want to be the bottleneck, at least that's what I feel. You don't want to be the bottleneck in terms of somebody's day-to-day decisions. And so it's okay to make a mistake and take small to medium-sized risks on those ones and being a little bit quicker. We'll get 50 to 75% of the way there in terms of our research, a little bit of analysis, and then we'll make the decision. We don't have to get 100% of the way there because if we're wrong, we can always go back and adjust it.
Next, we have Brett Chang, co-founder and CEO of Canadian media company The Peak. After amassing over 100,000 readers to the newsletter and reaching over 3 million monthly on social media, Brett sold The Peak for $5 million this past summer. But how did he identify and grow his audience to get to that point? Let's take a look.
The first 1,000 readers was really what I like to call hand-to-hand combat. That was us posting on our own social channels, that was reaching out to our friends and family and getting them to subscribe. But really the next iteration upon that was reaching out to them and getting them to share. And once they would share, especially on LinkedIn, is where we saw that more rapid growth come. Once we got to 1,000 users, we kind of validated the product. We saw that people wanted to subscribe to it and then would continue reading it until we had confidence that we could keep going with the business.
And would you say LinkedIn was your primary growth driver?
Originally, yeah. For the first 5,000, I think a lot of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn was the highest quality growth channel for us. That's where we were getting the best subscribers, the ones who were sticking with us and reading it consistently.
Transitioning from who to what, founder of Wavelength's Emilie Young discusses the perks of a flexible brand identity as you scale.
Liked having that name that wasn't related to a specific craft because I was changing and evolving constantly. And while I've been in the crochet world for 5-6 years now, who knows, right? And I don't want to have a name that is so specific to a specific craft.
I think this is such a great insight. When you think about creating a brand, we often hear things like, have a specific name so customers know exactly what your value proposition is. The challenge with that though is, what if things change? What if you end up doing more than just the thing you initially said you would do? Like, imagine if Amazon was called Washington's Best Bookstore. Keep that in mind when choosing your company name. Next, we have Nicolina, founder and owner of The Rig, talking about the power of community and partnerships that just make sense.
It's just a matter of having the stamina to be on your own for a long time. That's why we really want to put some yoga upstairs to add another element to the space. That's another big bonus for The Rig in Hinchinburg is very early on we partnered with Soul Speak Yoga. We have a joint membership. We have a lot of the same people going back and forth. The coaches go to both gyms.
What can you take away from that? Find and collaborate with partners that actually complement your business. A big part of many startup journeys is raising capital. Liza, CEO and co-founder of Chexi, raised her first round in under 4 months in a seemingly impossible fundraising climate. What are her tips?
We'll say it's a combination of a couple of things: creating competitive pressure and being very disciplined with approaching a lot of people at the same time. It's very much an Albert's game. The same with dating, the same with a lot of things. It's very much the more people you're going to talk to, the more likelihood you're going to be able to get term sheets on. And the other thing is, the more people you talk to around the same time and the more competitive pressure you create, we learned that in investment banking, right? The better the results usually are. Because nobody wants to have a cold deal. Nobody wants to invest in a startup that's been trying to raise money for the 9 months, right? It's becoming harder and harder. Generally, you want to be the hot deal on the desk that people are committing, that every single week you have an update. Oh, now I'm 60% committed. Now I'm 70% committed. Now I have a lead. That's the kind of deal that you want to be. Which brings me actually to, another point. I do think a lot of people view raising money as a cornerstone of like building a successful business, which I completely disagree with. I think at the stage, especially that we raised our original round of capital, like that, like us being able to raise is maybe a good indication of just like a potential in the space, in the market, but also just me being a good salesperson. Yeah. Like realistically, raising money is not building a successful business. And there's a ton of businesses that have raised millions of dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars that we've seen fail very shortly after. Especially in like that tech ecosystem, everyone is kind of like so focused on raising money, where I think you should be focused on, yeah, how am I gonna get my initial customers? How am I gonna get to revenue?
This is a reality check. Raising money isn't the milestone. Building a real business with genuine customers and growth is. Wise words from Liza we can all take to heart. Now, being successful at building and running a company doesn't come down to just strategy and tactics. It's also about perspective and mindset. Rob Fraser, CEO and founder of Outweigh Socks, reveals the game-changing perspective that allowed him to take his business to the next level.
I think like I've evolved with the business. I think like I've made a very conscious effort to get out of my own way. I think like, and that's been just by surrounding myself with people that have done the thing, like I said, like, and asking like, what are the common mistakes? What are the potholes? Because in the early days, the 0 to 1, like you have to do all the work. Like you've got to be in the weeds. You've got to be like, there was a point where I was making the socks. I couldn't afford to hold inventory. So like we'd buy blanks and I bought all the machinery to actually apply the designs. So I would start the day making socks and then answering customer service emails, packing the socks. I was doing it all, for years. Then it gets to a point where like you need to hire people and you need to get out of the way. And that's like, I think a lot of, where a lot of founders will falter is like, can they get out of their own way? Can they trust other people to do the work? Which is the only way you're gonna scale. I think like removing the ego, which was like, I think this was probably the hardest part for me, was like in my past career of cycling, it's on me. I am the guy. I've got to win the race. There's no one else that's going to ride the race for me. And so like that served me well in the early days. But then it's like, oh, like actual success in business is like letting other people run the race.
Once you get to a certain scale or reach a certain level of audience, people are going to listen to what you have to say. I talked to former Team Canada and World Tour snowboarder Natalie Allport on the importance of embracing vulnerability on a global stage.
And so like once I got to a place where I just felt I was, I guess, more confident in being vulnerable and understood like what happened and like what, like when you're living in it, sometimes you don't even know what's happening. And then once I had the mental health knowledge and awareness, I was like, okay, this is something like I want to talk about, because if I saw like me talking about it, this could have really helped. And so yeah, this has been really important for me to normalize it and see like how many other people have gone through it.
Yeah.
And then same thing with like things I've dealt with like body image. Like I used to, when I was first starting CrossFit, I was like, oh my God, I need to eat this certain way because I see everyone on Instagram is doing that. I need to train or look a certain way because I see all the other athletes are doing that. And then, you know, I learned the hard way where I like had no energy, was burnt out, was getting sick, was like not performing well. I was like, wow, something needs to change here. And then I learned, I was like, wow, like why was I following? I'm thinking I need to look like this and do this. So I've seen like the harmful effects of social media, and I've seen like when people put out this like unrealistic standard, I never want to do that.
On the topic of role models, one of my favorite moments of all these interviews so far is this next one with Rivalry CEO Steven Salz. Have you ever thought about the role of books in an entrepreneur's journey outside of the frameworks and advice? Steven shares his perspective on the importance of books in contextualizing our real life experiences. I don't think I've heard someone approach their relationship to books in this way before, and it makes a lot of sense. Let's check it out.
And that's been the thing that's actually helped me most in my entrepreneurial journey, more than any business book or anything I've read, is being able to like contextualize to different like moments in history that have like resonated with me, and be able to say, okay, like, you know, I'm dealing with like some really difficult problem with my gambling business and some like cultural issue, but yeah, I can think back to like some person in like an infinitely more challenging circumstances, situation, and then I can pretty quickly say, okay, so the ability to like compartmentalize, which you also will find if you read in history, is like that is usually a thing that also is even greater than like discipline and a great routine.
If that's not a sign to pick up a book, I don't know what is. Closing on a powerful note, Rachel and Istiana of Monday Girl share what it truly means to be an entrepreneur. If you're building a business or even thinking about it, this one's for you.
Being able to figure anything out. And I think like we've never had all the answers. We didn't have, you know, in the early days, we didn't necessarily have like perfect mentors giving us advice on how to do everything. And it was very much like, okay, I have no idea how to build a website, no idea how to like throw an event. We don't have a event background, but let's just figure it out. Like, let's be resourceful. I feel like that's one thing that we do share that's pretty entrepreneurial, is like a very like yes mentality. And yeah, like, I don't know, because that's just the thing that we could throw a 10 or 11 star event with like 0 event planning backgrounds, but we're like, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be amazing. But I think a little bit of that, we'll call it naiveness or just excitement, we're both really good at, and obviously we just keep getting better.
Let me know in the comments your favorite moments from these interviews. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more useful and relatable entrepreneur content. Until next time, bye for now.